how have you emotionally caught up to your success? And I don't know if that's even clear, but it's like you have done a lot. And when you look back, I'm sure it didn't feel like it at the time, but a lot in a very short amount of time, like the level of success with what It Cosmetics has done and what you have done. When you look back, how have you emotionally caught up to what that means? And even financially, like how you've been like, oh my gosh, like I'm not saving tip money anymore. How have you kind of kept up with that? And even your sense of self, through that.
Yeah. So there's things that I've done right and things I've done wrong. One thing I did wrong in the journey was, I got to the point where I was working 100-hour weeks and I almost became like addicted to work and busyness. Yeah. And I went through this journey of learning that like busyness is actually like any other addiction where it separates, it like numbs us, separates us from ourselves. And I realized, which is also part of why I thought, okay, let's really partner with L'Oreal because I need to really make, as an entrepreneur, some fundamental shifts in my life. But the one thing I did wrong was work 100-hour weeks and cause myself to burn out, all those things. The thing I think that I did right from the beginning, and even now in this moment, now that my circumstances are very different, is I've always known, and this comes from, I think, my faith deep down inside. I've always known that like what I'm called to do isn't about me. And so for me, it's what's fueled me in all the times when it seemed like no one else believed in me. Like I knew why I was doing this was so much bigger than myself and to really shift culture and beauty. And even now, even just saying like, oh my gosh, you started something in your living room and someone pays you $1 billion for it. Like if I think about that, I can't even process that. Yeah. Like, I can't even handle it. Because what happens is I'll start thinking of like, oh, but I didn't come from the right family. Neither of my parents went to college. Like all those things that we tell ourselves about why we're not the person that has those kind of things happen to us. Right. And so two things. One, I often remind myself that like anything that's ever been created that's great or that's a brand we all use now or a big business, like it was all created by somebody really at the end of the day who's just like you and me, who's just like all of us. Every single thing, right? So like, why not us?
Why not you?
Why not? Yeah. And then the other thing is like when I really start to kind of like get in my own head about it, because it is really strange to say like, oh yeah, like all those things. Like I make it not about I remind myself it's not about me, right? So for my book, for example, I'm donating 100% of the proceeds, right? The book is to serve, right? And like I believe at the end of the day that we get in life like what we give, you know what I mean? Along this whole journey, I've known it's bigger than myself. Even now, like I don't know, I believe that, I'm called to serve and to, like I feel blessed to have accomplished one of my biggest dreams, but my biggest driver now is helping other women, and especially other entrepreneurs, but really other women like accomplish their greatest dreams. And like for me, that isn't really about me. And so it drives me and then I don't freak out over things like, oh yeah, I sold my business for $1 billion, which if I think about it, I can't process it really.
Right.
And so I just have to flip it in my mind as, okay, maybe this is a cool example that is another example for other entrepreneurs of like, it's possible for them.
Right.
Yeah,
I love that example. When we teach often about the power of your thoughts, we use the example of the 4-minute mile. It had never been broken, until Roger Bannister broke it. And then after he broke it, it was broken, 6 more times that year and 500 times since then because someone showed that it was possible. And so it's amazing to think of the $1 million businesses, the $1 billion businesses that will be birthed because like Oprah did for you are doing for others of showing that it's possible. One of the things, and you and I have talked about this, Jamie, but I love talking to you about it because I think that you are such a great model of this, you are one of the most gracious and humble and just genuinely kind people. And you have this level of success that's like, kind of mind blowing. Like you're going like, if I think about it, it's kind of crazy. I think that we as women struggle with feeling comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah.
We feel even a little bit uncomfortable with confidence. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't know. Like that feels like I don't want to be showy. I'm worried about what people think of me. I don't want to seem selfish or greedy. We say like, oh my gosh, I love your outfit. Like, oh, this whole thing, I got it on sale. Oh my gosh, this dinner is amazing. You're like, oh, it took 5 minutes. No, it didn't. It took you 6 hours. Like we just diminish.
Yes.
Some things may be true and some things we're just downright lying. Like it did take us a long time to cook that, and you did really work really hard. And so you had a moment when you hit the Forbes richest self-made women list. And after hitting this list and being uncomfortable with it, you had this aha moment that was how you handled it differently than how men tended to. Will you tell that story? Because I think that is such a powerful example. And then we can kind of go from there, because I think this is good for us to remember.
Yeah, and I think I love so much this question, because and it's recent for me. Mm-hmm. It's recent for me when I had this aha moment of how as women we really do dim our light, and we really, always try to stay humble and grateful and all those things. What's the result of that? Do you know what I mean? And I just had that moment. So yeah, after L'Oreal acquired IT Cosmetics, they published the purchase price. This whole thing happened, and Forbes reached out to our company and said, Jamie is on the richest self-made women's list. And this was out of the blue. And I had our head of PR reply and say like, well, she's not interested. Please don't include her on the list. Like, because I'm thinking like,
is this optional? I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. And I'm thinking, and then they replied and said, well, we already have an estimation of her net worth. We would love for her to comment on the distribution of assets between her and her husband. All these things. I'm like, what? Like, I'm panicking, thinking like, oh, you don't talk about that, and like all these things, right? And on top of it, I just thought like being on a list like that, I felt like it felt like not humble,
right,
and not
showy. Look at me.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I said no. And then they wrote back and said, well, it doesn't really matter if she wants to comment or not, because she's on the list. Our list is accurate. Right. We know everyone's net worth, and the list has to be accurate for it to mean anything. So she's on the list. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And all the teams of bankers and lawyers and stuff, somehow they have estimates they believe are true. And so long story short, I said, well, okay, if they would share, the IT Cosmetics story, stuff like that, that could be amazing. But I'll share that, but I won't ever talk about my net worth. And they agreed, and they published an article, and they kept their word, and it was a beautiful article. But then their list came out with numbers on it, and I'll never forget the first time I saw it, and I was mortified, like embarrassed, mortified, all those things. So they publish it every year. 3 years into it, I had still been hiding it every single year. And sometimes I would go do a big event or a keynote speech or something, and they would introduce me with like the bio they had written from what they find online. Mm-hmm. And they'd send sometimes the bio ahead of time. And every time I would have our PR team have them change it and not call it Forbes' richest self-made women, and have them change it to Forbes' most successful self-made women. Because somehow I felt like that was more humble. Mm-hmm. And I did that for 3 years. And then I had this huge aha moment where I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm dimming my own light, and I'm actually just robbing other girls, other women of another example in their life of someone who's overcome a lot and had business success, and me not sharing these things, right, is in a way like robbing them of that. And the funniest thing is when the reporter was like, and I asked her, I said, I'm so sorry, like I just don't feel comfortable sharing this and all that. And she goes, oh, it's okay, it's really common for women. I go, what do you mean? And she goes, well, a lot of the women on the list don't want to ever comment, they don't tell us. And she goes, and it's so different for men. And I'm like, how is it different? And she goes, well, on the other list that has men on it, like they actually get really mad that their number isn't higher. She says they call our offices, right? And they complain. She goes, they send in proof, they send in financial records, they'll do everything to try to prove that not only should they be on the list, they need to be at a higher slot on the list. So it was this drastic difference. And over time, I just realized, wow, as women, like you started this question with, sometimes we bond over problems, and we bond and we feel included and we feel loved in our friendship circle or our family circle when we downplay ourselves and when we bond over problems like, I my car got a flat tire, or whatever it might be, my house is a mess, or all the examples you gave in the beginning. Oh, this jacket, is right. We bond over that, but like at the end of the day, what is that really doing, right? Because like for me growing up, me seeing Oprah being confident and celebrating her own successes showed me that it's possible, right? And so I'm like, wait, me hiding the Forbes list, me not sharing the even monetary success, which even right now feels weird to say that out loud, but it's another form of success, and me hiding it actually is just potentially robbing, inspiring someone else that it's possible for them, right? It'd be like the guy who ran the 4-minute mile, like hiding it. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I feel like this conversation is so powerful for women because we should all be helping to heal ourselves, helping to heal each other, helping to heal our daughters, the next generation, by really celebrating our successes and not going, oh, I'm showy, no, like I'm confident. I want to share this with you. Like, let's cheer each other on. Like, let's champion each other. Let's show examples of what's possible for everyone else so that they're inspired and believe it's possible as well for them.
Yeah, I love seeing how you talk about it too, because even though you've even struggled with it yourself of like, yeah, it makes me uncomfortable too. I think so many women relate to that because they're not totally comfortable. And I think there's something to this, Jamie, of like, and I'm pro women. I'm also pro men. I don't think you have to be like anti-men to be pro women. Of course, but I think there's these cultural expectations that we want to fit in a box. We want to be real polite. And there's some fascinating research on men's and women's perceptions of women's power. Both men and women perceive women more negatively when they are assertive, when they're aggressive, when they ask for what they want, when they negotiate for a job, for salary. Like, it's not just men perceive women because it's outside of the stereotype they expect. Women also perceive women more negatively. And so I think if you, me, everybody can set an example of what it looks like to hold your head high and not pretend like you're not successful, not hide the blessings in your life, because I believe everything we have is a blessing. You worked your tail off and God blessed you at the same time, and be grateful for that instead of hide it. I think it does set an example for other women to do that as well, for them to be comfortable in their own skin. You know, this is a little bit of a side note, but like when I travel and I'm on the road or whatever, all the time I'm asked, oh, who's watching your kids? I'm like, do they ask my husband that? Right. They don't.
Right.
My husband never gets asked, oh, who's watching your kids? I don't know, the dog. I mean, like what a crazy question that I'm on, and I love my role as a mother, but I'm not one of those angry pro women, but I do want to call out the opportunities we have to see women outside of maybe social stereotypes or cultural norms and say, like, let's celebrate that a woman built a business in her living room for $1 billion, and everybody go, that's one of us. Like, women are winning. This is paving a way for more women to do more things, and still at your level of success have the grace and humility and gratitude that you have. I think is just such a powerful model. I know people want to know, because so much you talk about this in your book, even of how you believed in yourself in order to do that. It was not an easy path from living room to L'Oreal. That should be the subtitle, from living room to L'Oreal.
Because a lot of people, we talk about dreaming big today. And I feel like a lot of people have these reasons. They think they're not quite ready to dream big yet. And maybe they think they don't have the right support around them, or they don't have the right setup on their computer, or they don't have the right team they've hired, or they don't, all these things. And I think part of you showing and me showing, hopefully both of us, all the real stuff, it's like, oh, you don't always need to have all that stuff together to start or to dream big and to start
No.
having that vision. That's a big vision for where you're going while enjoying the moment.
People, I love that. Big vision for where you're going while enjoying the moment, and knowing that 100% of success stories you have ever heard, that success story began with somebody going 90 miles an hour and putting the wheels on as they were going and building the thing. They endured years of mess and disorganization and trying to figure out and doubt and risk of failure on the precipice daily. And you don't get that easy path when you want to do great things.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Les Brown always said, I love Les Brown. Les has been on our stages. Les is a personal development legend. I hope you know who he is. Les Brown always said, he's like, if you want your life to be easy, do hard things. If you want your life to be hard, do easy things. And it just says, it's like, oh, you have to push. You have to struggle. Here's what I want everyone to know. Thinking big today. This is my message to you. And thinking big. You are clueless to the depths of your capabilities. You have no idea what you are capable of. You have no idea what your full potential is. And I'm not judgment. I don't know either. Like, there's one guy up there. For me, I'm a spiritual person, so God's got me. God knows the immensity of the soul he put into this body, and no one else does, including me. I have no idea the immensity of the challenges God's got lined up for me 5 years from now, or 10 or 3 or 4 minutes. Like, you don't know. But what you do know is you're going to arrive and you will be summoned to call your best forth to serve one day. You will be summoned to rise above your own little insecurities and comforts and joys and ask, wow, how can I get more out of myself to be of service in this moment? Whether that is your first 2 years with a new baby, and you're like, my eyes, I haven't slept, you know? Or it's that first 4 years of your startup. It's going to demand so much of you, but you will rise to it. You will be capable. You will learn as you go. So stop all the waiting, get in the game, put the wheels on as you're going, move towards that dream with more rapidness, because you'll figure it out as you go. It won't be perfect. Jamie said, you're so vulnerable. Yet the other day you said to me, I feel like never in my life, Brendan, have I dropped more balls, I think you were saying.
And right now.
Yeah, tell them about that, because you're thinking big, but she's built $1 billion business. And right now, even after having that experience, she feels like this is life, y'all. Anyway, tell them about that.
I think, you know, when I think back to the early days of building It Cosmetics, there were years of I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And I was trying to do every job in my living room because I couldn't afford to hire anybody. And I think anytime we're also doing something new or dreaming big and trying to go to new levels, just the newness of all of it is overwhelming, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. And so, you know, at the end of a 10-year journey with that, building over 1,000 employees and $1 billion company and all that, I knew a lot about the beauty industry and about manufacturing and legal and acquisitions and building a team and leadership and all those things, right? And now, as a first-time author, I actually
a whole new game.
A whole new game. I feel literally I'm back in my living room, not knowing what I don't know, right? And it's a growth, a major season of growth for me. And, you know, you and I, Brendan, talk a lot about just the idea of being a lifelong student. And, you know, I'm proud to be a lifetime student. And I'm honored to learn from everyone in our community right now who's posting in the comments and posting in Facebook and posting in Instagram. I'm part of the Growth Day Morning Show. We learn from each other. I learn from all the other Growth Day coaches. And I'm in a season right now of going, okay, because for the last 5 years, I've been offered book deals because of my story, but I didn't want to have a ghostwriter do it. So I said no for 5 years. I wanted, because I have learned in my life, like, you cannot fake authenticity. And, you know, one of the things I talk about in the book a lot actually is how, you know, authenticity alone doesn't guarantee success, but inauthenticity guarantees failure. And that's in everything, right? And I talk about all the lessons I've learned around that in the book. But then for me to have that book actually truly serve at the highest possible level, I wanted to write every word myself. I knew it had to be authentic. So this has been 2 years, actually, a year and a half, little over a year and a half of growth and of dropping so many balls and,
Learning
you
new
know,
things, messing it
learning
up,
new
trying to
things.
get into it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you saw me when I got the first cover in, I was cutting it out and taping it to Jay Shetty's book because it was the right size. Every little thing I'm like trying to figure it out, and because I want it to be authentic and I want it to be right and I want to have no regrets. But yeah, I am dropping balls everywhere in terms of, I mean, last night I was up all night writing web copy, writing because I want it to be authentic to like the heart and soul of how I want to serve. And I'm doing a big launch event, which we'll talk about later,
Yes.
because it's still top secret, but we're going to tell everyone on Growth Day first. But
she's doing it big.
every,
She's going for it.
yeah.
Listen, she decided to write a book. And she had, I want everyone, I know some of you are thinking about writing a book or launching something new. When she said, I'm going to write a book, she said, I want it to be a bestseller. I want it to really impact millions of people. I want it to be a New York Times bestseller. I want to really get it out there. Even though, please listen, she'd never written a book, had no idea how to write a book, and had zero idea how to promote something.
Yeah.
Her confidence in thinking big came from her belief in her ability to figure things out. She's like, I'll figure it out. So your big vision should not be limited by today's skill set or today's competency. Your big vision should be based on your service you want to give, your dream you want to live with your family. Like, and you will develop the skills along the way as you get in motion towards the thing. You don't start the journey perfect. The definition of perfection is to perfect. To perfect requires that you start. You start something, release something, launch something, and you perfect as you go. Perfect is a verb. It is done to something that is out there, that is released, that is built to perfect. And so you don't start perfect, you perfect. And then as soon as you go, oh, okay, we're going to start this Growth Day morning show. We don't know how to plug it into Instagram or Facebook. We don't know how to use an outward mic, these mics. We don't know what the heck we're doing. Our first 4 days, we were just perfecting how to do that little piece. We still are. I think that's so important. And Jamie, I want to give you credit because sometimes you feel like you're dropping so many balls because you're so good at what you're doing in every other area, but you're also doing awesome and you're getting great momentum, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm just trying to be brave, and I'm trying to, and this, this is something that I think is huge too, is we often talk about when, I have a whole journey of hearing no for years, right? Experts telling me my vision wasn't going to work for It Cosmetics and all those kind of things. But I still believe that it's our own self-doubt that kills more dreams than almost anything else. It's our own kind of limitations that we put on ourselves, or our own reasons we give ourselves why we need to still wait to do something, or we're not quite ready to write the book, or any of those things, right? And I get why, because doing it all and putting ourselves out there is scary. And sometimes it's easier to not dream big, because then we don't have to be afraid of not hitting that mark, or we stay in our comfort zone, right? But I think that to recap what you said in the start of this, which is so good, it's so good, is until we take those chains off we put on ourselves, we don't know how much we're capable of. We don't know the level we're capable of dreaming and serving and giving and creating and ideating and inspiring, right? And leading and all of those things. And I think that, and
the level of discipline you're all capable of. The level of, so Jamie is in what we call a launch window. So for those who are new, Jamie is launching a book called Believe It, and it comes out next month. I hope that you will pre-order on Amazon. It's called Believe It by Kern Lima. It comes out next month. She's in this time we call a launch window. A launch window is when your life becomes very deep work, essentialism, high performance habits. You are doing this thing. A lot of balls are falling all over there because you have this limited amount of time to launch this thing. And until you've been through that several times, you don't know how much you can get done. I'll give you an example of thinking big. This month, if you told me, okay, Brendan, in 1 month, listen to y'all, in 1 month, rebranded the company, onboarded 20 plus people and teams from outsourcing and internal all around, launched a new offering, brought in all our new growth coaches, in other words, found like 8 other new promotional partners and friends to serve, built a new software team, building the software, serving all of our customers without missing too many beats, launching a new community platform, launching this show, and somehow enjoying the month. If you told Brendan, 19-year-old Brendan, that was, he'd be like, I don't know how to hire. I don't know what a brand is. I don't know what a company is. What is it? Like, if you told your former self that, or your future self, I should say, you don't know what you're capable of. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, look at me, because I've been feel like I'm putting the wheels on as I'm going. But I said, okay, let's just get in motion. We're going to figure it out. We're going to go. It's crunch time. Let's go. Let's move things forward. Move things forward. Move things forward. You will perfect as you go. But no way could I imagine that we could do all of this in a single month until you go for it, guys. You got to go for your dreams. Thinking big means moving big, taking big action, taking daily, you might call it small actions, but those daily small actions compound. You got to get in the game. Some of you, it's so easy to sit it out and you're still waiting for someone's approval or someone's understanding. It's like, if you feel like no one understands you, you have no one to blame but you. We have to learn. And I don't say that judgmentally, I had to learn to communicate. I sucked at communicating. I felt like I didn't have connection with people because I didn't know how to communicate. Be vulnerable, share emotions, like create human, like good friendships. I didn't know how to do that. So I did like a lot of you personal growth lovers who read How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie. Anyone read that? Oh my God, changed my life.
Yeah, I need to reread it. I read it like 20 years ago.
So good.
Yeah.
Such a classic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
I did that because I was terrible with people. And so now I communicate to millions of people daily. So if you told that really awkward dude, oh, you're going to talk to millions of people, you didn't believe it. But as you jump into the dream and you get momentum, you start to believe it more. You get more skills, more capabilities. Those capabilities lead to competency. That competency leads to confidence, and you're moving. I don't know.
Yeah. And not only do you talk to millions of people, you train other incredible teams. I know I always bring up Oprah's team on the show, who I know you've trained, but you train so many people how to do it also. So it's like, not only do you do it now, you also are like one of the top people in the world at helping some of the top people in the world do it themselves. So it's pretty remarkable. And one thing I want to share, because I'm reading the comments, a lot of people saying, oh, it's hard to unchain ourselves. It's hard to start. It's hard to start when we don't know if our idea is good enough, or we don't know if our dream is right, and all that kind of thing. And one thing you just said that I just want to call out, because I think it's really important, is that sometimes people do cheer for you after you've made it. And I want to call this out, okay?
Yeah.
Because
so
I've lived through this. I have lived through this, okay? I have so many stories, and that's why. So everyone writing a book, it's like it is the greatest joy to go, oh my gosh, if people knew I went through all this, they would feel less alone. They would feel like they can get through it too, because this is the real stuff that happens. But there were so many people that did not cheer for me until after my company was a success, or after we were splashed in all the magazines, or after. And often when they start cheering for you, then it's in the form of, I always knew that you'd make it, or I'm so proud of you. I've been rooting for you from the beginning. You're like, no, you were, but it's okay. Right? I think it's right. Or they're like, they're telling people how they know you, and it's wild to watch this. And it's not that they mean harm. Here's what when I've peeled back the layers on this, there's a couple lessons here I want to share with anyone, especially if they're scared to start, if they're scared to take that jump, if they're scared to dream big and call their shot and go for it. and all of that. Because what we start to do, I think, as humans is we share our dreams or our ideas with the people around us. Sometimes we share them in groups. And then sometimes we share them with experts or with, people in our industry that have had a lot of success or whatever. And then when we don't get the kind of response we're hoping for, right? Then we start to doubt ourselves and we start to think we're not ready, or we think, oh, you know what? A million other people have done this idea. Like maybe I shouldn't do it. It's already been done so many other times. So here's the big thing I've learned, okay, is first of all, as we know, the only way to ever have a human connection is to show up authentically, right? And that can be with your partner, with a friend, with your customers online, with what you're doing, right? With how you're launching your dream. So just to take a step back, if you are doing something authentically, right, your dream. So in my case, there's a million beauty companies out there, and I launched a beauty company. Well, there's millions of them. Someone had already done it. Millions of people had already done it, right? But when you do something authentically, no one can do it the way you're doing it, right? So by definition, what you're doing is novel. By definition, it's never been done before. And here's what I've learned. Other people, typically, even experts, even visionaries, they typically can't imagine something being successful unless subconsciously they've already seen proof that it's already been done and it's already been successful.
Yes.
But because you're doing it authentically to you, it's never been done before. So don't be surprised when the people around you who love you or the experts you have so much respect for don't initially give you the reaction to your big dream or your big idea. It's because no one's done it the way you're going to do it. So it's never been done before. It's novel, it's new, right? And most people would never admit this, but unless subconsciously they've seen it that way and they've seen it succeed, they're not going to believe that it will. So,
yeah. Except people who have done it themselves. And like you and I believe in people. We believe in you guys so much because when you meet people who came from nothing and they built it and they did it, they're the ones who usually are on board. Like, sounds like, go for it. Don't know if it's going to work, but cheer them on, encourage it. Like people who've actually done it are the most encouraging. Yes.
Yeah. And we've gone through the journey of hearing thousands of people not believe in us. And then when you come out of the other side of that, you're like, and you have a whole new perspective, right? But the truth is, I mean, in my own journey, for example, as it pertains to building the company, I also learned years later, the hard way, after crying myself to sleep a lot of nights, after hearing a lot of no's, I learned, oh, wait, most of the beauty retailers, they're amazing and they're great. And they all said no to me for years, but they've also never actually built anything themselves.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, oh, and to your point, that's why I'm so passionate about Growth Day and supporting it however I can, but also this morning show, right? Because it's like when you surround yourself with people that are in that space that share these kind of stories, then you're like, oh, okay, I get it that like Aunt Margie said that she didn't think this was going to be a success, but that's okay. She loves me anyway, and she's never built something like this. So she's seeing it through the best lens she knows how, but I'm not going to let that penetrate me or me calling my shot, me going for my dream, me dreaming big, right? So I want to share that to you this morning.
Today, after a billion days, you in a hotel promoting Believe It book launch, you get to go home. How's it feel?
Yes, I am so excited. It's been a crazy stretch. Talk about momentum. I've been in this hotel room for 21 days. 21 days. But I'm super filled up though with gratitude. I did a walk this morning, and I'm just like trying to appreciate the moment of everything. I'm so tired. Honestly, like I'm really, we've done, so 2 live events. So from the time I got to the hotel room, it's been 21 days. We did 2 live events, 15 Growth Day morning shows, 6 QVC shows. So the last 48 hours, why I'm here so long is I had a live event on Sunday, but then went right into a midnight QVC show. Then yesterday had 4 QVC shows plus another keynote. So it's just a lot, but also great. But if you want the truth, this morning, I literally, no joke, someone will understand me in our Growth Day community. Because I have more shows today before I fly home. So I was doing my makeup, and then I looked in the mirror, and my eyebrow, this one, I drew it way up here. I'm like, oh, I got to go home. I'm so tired. At the end of 21 days, I drew my eyebrow, and I'm like, okay. So I had to take it off, redraw it. I'm like, this is a good time to go home, to take a breath, and then to build the momentum again, because I'm so passionate. I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, and it's, I believe in it so much. So that's what makes it exciting. But yeah, it's been a long stretch, and a lot of momentum building. And in some ways I feel like too, it's just the beginning, right? Same for you. I mean, you've been working so hard on everything with Growth Day, and it's like, oh, but it's still just the beginning in so many ways.
I think that's the most important thing for people to get. It's like there's this hope that one day you don't have to keep the momentum going, or one day everything calms down completely. But if it's part of your purpose, you're always going to be working for it in some way. And it's not going to be easy. Yesterday I shot, I'm like, there's always something going on. Like right now, literally my little broadcasting here is just blowing up with all these, StreamYard's not connecting to Facebook, like all across them.
Is it working on Facebook or no? Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like it.
No.
Or is it? Oh.
It is in some pages. Apparently.
Yeah. I just went all these things saying it's not.
Oh,
so
no. Okay.
It's like, but that's normal. It's something. Yeah. Yesterday, I tried to film a sales video, registration video for one of our programs. And if for my audience who knows me, they've seen me on stage talk all day, uninterrupted, no notes. All of my 20 plus online courses I did, and almost all of them in one take. Literally an hour-long teaching, one take, no problem. 7 different topics for 7 hours, no problem. Yesterday I had to shoot a 10-minute video. Took me 3 hours. 3 hours, because halfway through I thought I nailed it. It was done. I was so excited. I wandered into the other room to get some water. I ran into Denise in the house, and she goes, "You have a bunch of toilet paper on your."
No!
And I was like, "What?" Right in the other room, and I looked. I was like, I tried not to burst in tears because I was so tired. And I looked, and yet it looked like this little white mustache, and I was like, "Oh no!" So went back to my computer and pulled up the replay, and of course you can see it. And I thought it took me 20 takes to get that video, and I had to reshoot it over, which took me another like 10. And it was just brutal. So anyone filming video, you know what I'm talking about. So give a shout out to some empathy or something down below, because we've all been through it before. It's kind of like you did your eyebrow, I had a white mustache going on.
Yeah. It's
like
so
when
funny.
you are in launch window. I keep emphasizing to everyone, there's times in your life when you're launch window and it's so intense and it's so hard, and you just have to work on your attitude, keep showing up every day. Like momentum is all about movement every day. Show up every day. Maybe you don't get to do 3 hours on your project today, but you get 20 minutes. Make it 20 minutes. Like imbue it with energy. And maybe you only have, you wished you had this time to do these other things, and you only have this little window. That little window, make it count. But launch windows, you also go a little bit batty in the brain, at least I do. You're drawing eyebrows, white mustache. It's like you don't finish all your checklists of all the things you have to do. And guess what? That's life. Keep a positive attitude, keep chugging along.
And I think too, giving ourselves grace is so important. Like when we hopped on this morning to get ready for the live, I was laughing with Sarah here, because I was like, you know what? I still feel like if I had not caught that and I still had one eyebrow up here, I was like, Brendan would still love me. The Growth Day community.
I was like, Jamie, you look great. What's happening? Good morning.
Like, good morning. We're all family.
The best thing is I wouldn't even notice. That's the best thing. I wouldn't even notice. Denise would see it from 4,000 feet away. Me, I'm just Captain Oblivious. I'm in my message and in what I'm ever doing at the same time. I mean, anything could be happening. And I'm just so, like, Denise can walk into a room and I don't even know what's happening,
Yeah.
So
you and I would be live. I would get a a text from Denise, and then I would know. I'd be like, okay, thank you, Denise. I would go fix it. See, Paulo my husband Paulo, he wouldn't notice either. Actually, you know what's funny is when he and I met, he had one eyebrow all the way across and no idea. Now I love it. I think it's so cool. Like
I love that you put that in your New York Times best-selling book for him. I remember reading that in the book. I was like,
you do? Well, I think it's just funny because, you know, he was such an important part of building It Cosmetics. And it's just funny that when we met, he would never notice anything like that. And when we actually developed eyebrow products in the early days, this is before we had a team, before we had clinical testing and chemists and all the stuff that you build as you build. But in the early days in our living room, when we would test eyebrow products, it was us, right? And Jackie, who you know. And so we would draw different products, and I would have to draw them on Paulo too, because we needed multiple data points, right? Anyone out there scrappy right now, launching their dreams, starting it in their living room, building it up, trying to like if y'all have asked your friends and family to be your focus groups, then you'll know what I'm talking about, right? And in those early years, it was like, even Paulo, there were days my sweet husband had all different eyebrows drawn with different pencils, and he had to wear them. Like, no, this has to last 12 hours. You can't take it off. So we would work days in our living room with multiple eyebrows. Anyway, this morning, with me just being so tired and drawing it up there, just reminded me of that. But it's like fun times. And by the way, you know, a lot of people feel like if they're in their living room right now and they're just starting their dream and they're still drawing the eyebrows on their partners and they're still asking their friends and family to be their focus group and all that, like those days still are some of the most fun days of momentum. Because even though you're in this space where, you know, it doesn't feel like you're getting traction, you're still that momentum, even in the start of something, even when it's like not glamorous, that momentum is still really powerful. And then I also, everyone I know who's gone through the scrappy years that were hard, and everyone I know looks back and those are like some of their fondest memories, you know, but when you're in it, you're like, how do I see past it? Am I ever going to make it? Am I ever going to get traction? You think all those things, like, especially when you don't want to see your own ATM receipt because it's painful. Like, you know what I mean? You hit the no receipt thing like, that's what I did for years. And it's hard to see past it, but everyone I know who has that breakthrough, whose company builds, right? Those are some of their favorite times. And so I just want to call that out this morning, just saying, like, I'm so fondly thinking about, after misdrawing my own brow today, thinking about the days of Paulo and me and like all the eyebrows and Jackie, which, by the way, Brendan, I was live on QVC last night with Jackie. Which
that's
is
awesome.
So just full circle. And so just to share with everyone, she was the very first employee we were able to hire full time at It Cosmetics. And we hired her when she was 6 months pregnant. She was a girlfriend of mine for so long, and we could barely afford to pay her. So we were able to pay her first before we ever paid ourselves. And she was kind of like all in this journey. And so to see her last night, such a boss, like she runs a few departments at It Cosmetics. She's live on QVC selling a Today's Special Value, crushing her sales goal, all these things. And I'm sitting there going on with my book, right, last night. And all I'm doing is going, wow, look at my friend. Like, look at my friend. You know what I mean? Like, she's like great? Flying. Yeah, it's so great. And she's such a boss. Gosh. And she, you know, she had a really, really tough upbringing, which I won't get into here, but, you know, she had a real tough childhood and went from trailer park to trailer park to trailer park. And, you know, she's someone, well, I share her story in my book with her blessing, but, you know, she ran away finally from an abusive household, and the police officer that arrested her for running away, him and his wife ended up adopting her as a teenager. She ended up figuring out how to go to school, and she is just someone who has always believed where she comes from doesn't have to determine where she's going. And when I met her, I just knew, I'm like, this is really, and we met, Brendan, just to share with everyone really fast. Sorry to get off topic, but I just think these moments are really special in life, how you meet friends, and you never know who's going to walk into your life, who's supposed to be part of it. And she and I met by dating the same sketchy guy. Like, she was living with this guy. I met him in school, and we started dating. And then one day I get a knock on my door, and I open it. He's at my house hanging out. I get a knock on my door. I open the door, and there's this beautiful girl sobbing. And it was Jackie. And that was the first day we ever met. And I'm like, come in. And she came in, and her boyfriend lied, and he's like, it was a long story. I tell that in the book too. But anyways, she and I eventually ended up getting rid of him and then becoming really great friends. And now it's been a 20-year friendship. And now she runs 2 departments at It Cosmetics. And anyways, you never know when you live life with an open heart, right? You never know like who's going to walk into your life at any moment and change it forever. And I think that's anyways, so it was a special moment.
Serendipity, grace. That's serendipity. It's grace. I want to jump into 2 things Jamie just shared that I hope you all caught. She shared that, a lot of the founders she knows, business owners she knows, who they look back to those build years with real reverence and nostalgia and like gratitude. And so for those of you who are building right now, where you feel just like all this stress and doubt, just have faith that stress and doubt becomes strength and development, right? That what happens one day, you get, because of the stress and doubt, you actually get stronger if you work through it. If you stop because of the stress and doubt, you always live there. But if you work through it, one day you get to look back at the stress and doubt or feel it as it is coming up less frequently because you've learned to master that side of your life. And suddenly you're grateful for it. I think that's so important. It's not that, and another shout out to Jamie, it's not that she doesn't have stress and doubt as she's launching her first book, but you can see it in her eyes in this morning show and on Growth Day, her energy. She's bringing joy to it this time. She's like having fun. I turned on the thing today because we do a pre-show before you guys get on, and she's just laughing and carrying on. I'm just observing my friend laughing and having a great time in the midst of a launch window. So you learn to do launches better. You learn to find peace. You learn to bring joy. You learn to feel the experience, and it gets different. And second thing I want to shout out about Jamie, which is what she just said, just watching her friend last night on QVC, which is just, what a beautiful story for International Women's Day yesterday. Here's Jamie celebrating her friend who's now getting a piece of the spotlight, And so how can you in your own life, is there a friend who needs some appreciation today or elevation today? Is there a team member who needs some empowerment today? Who can you lift up today? Is there somebody you could just send a positive audio text to? Growth Day members, I teach this, send 5 audio texts a day or texts of appreciation to people just to elevate them and lift their mood and spirit. No need for, some kind of return, a favor. It just send out goodness in the world. And you know what? The more goodness you send out, the more you get over yourself. A lot of people want to find happiness and they think, well, I'll sit here and I'll meditate on my happiness all day. It's like, oh, you want to be happier? Send gratitude and prayer out for others. And that will get your mind, the monkey mind, off of like obsessing about your merry-go-round of doubts, and it'll put goodness into the world. Like put goodness into the world, appreciate, elevate other people, and just hear how Jamie's talking about her friend Jackie. She's just like so excited for her and celebrating her. And I've seen Jamie do that over and over for other women. So I hope you all will pick up her book, Believe It, because you're going to learn a mindset there of there is no competition when you're in your authenticity and you want to see other people rise up. It's a whole different path. And that's why she was able to go to this whole other level in building $1 billion business. So pick up Believe It if you haven't got it yet. And if you have got it, read those first 50 pages, tell all your friends. Let's keep the momentum going for Jamie on Believe It.
Jamie, it's a compelling story. What you share with a lot of successful entrepreneurs is most of us only hear the $1.2 billion sale to L'Oreal. They don't realize that you had hundreds and thousands of no's for years and years, and you were selling 1 or 2 products a day for years, and down to your last $1,000. You applied to 20 plus SBA loans. They all said no. Finally, the last one said yes, so that you could go all in on the inventory for QVC and then own it all if you didn't sell it all. And you have now been on hundreds of podcasts for this book that you're donating to a great philanthropic organization. One of the big insights I took away from the QVC experience was that you said every time you hit a goal, you never felt joy, but rather you felt relief. And that really hit me because, like you, I am a small budding entrepreneur with some 1 or 2 orders coming in a day, right? And I'm looking long-term at my own success. And I want to feel joy in accomplishing goals, not relief. But I do feel relief. I don't feel the joy. Speak to everyone listening and watching right now that has a dream, that has a side hustle, that has an entrepreneurial business. Maybe they're perhaps just full-time employees in a company. They're an intrapreneur inside a bigger company, and you want them to feel joy, not relief, when they accomplish a goal. How did you cross that bridge from relief to finding joy?
Yeah, I was in a long stretch of burnout, self-imposed burnout, and I talk a lot about work addiction and busyness addiction, which are like other forms of addiction where they almost numb us and separate us from ourselves. I talk about realizing I was doing a lot of it wrong. I talk about how I don't believe I needed to do 100-hour weeks for 10 years to build a billion-dollar company. But my journey was after 3 years of hundreds and hundreds of no's, when we finally started getting success, I almost for a while couldn't believe it, right? Part of my journey is learning to believe I'm worthy of my own success, of being in my own skin, of being in my own body, of all of those things. I talk a lot in the book about self-doubt, body doubt, God doubt, all of that stuff. Because I think leadership starts on the inside. And I realized, Scott, that, because I had heard no for so long, when we started getting yeses and all this momentum was happening and we started winning awards everywhere and getting into all these big beauty stores. And, when we hit #1 on QVC, I always felt like, oh my gosh, I've got to strike while the iron's hot. This might all come crashing down at any moment, God forbid. Like I would have those thoughts, which are a form of imposter syndrome of, am I worthy of this success? Do I deserve this? Am I qualified to have it, right? And I had to really go through this emotional journey that I talk about and believe it. Even once we were acquired by L'Oreal, it was the largest acquisition in their US history, and they made me the first woman to hold a CEO title of a brand in their 100+ year history. And I remember being in that position and in that room and in that space and needing to summon the belief that I was qualified for that. I talk about the deep stuff in this book that a lot of times CEOs and leaders are embarrassed to talk about because we always have to show up as the leader for our teams, right? Sometimes we always have to show up as the leader for our own families. We have to show up this way because we're the leader. But what about all the real stuff we're dealing with? And I think part of really why I wanted to write this book is to really share those real stories behind the stories of the things I failed at and did wrong, wish I had done differently. And also the greatest things I did and the lessons I learned the hard way that hopefully will save other people time and money and and have stronger teams and save themselves crying themselves to sleep at night. But there's some stuff I did wrong that I talk about. And one of those things is I never felt the victories during a long season of a number of years because I was just driving so hard, almost in survival mode, to build the business and living in burnout. And, I talk about, for anyone who started a business with a friend or family member or their partner, I talk about the real hard stuff there too, because, I got to the point, Scott, where it was another goal hit, another show hit, finally a yes from this retailer, hiring, building, and just driving so hard. And my husband and I both were in parallel trying to start a family. So in parallel to all this, I was going through like fertility treatments and miscarriages and all kinds of stuff, which I talk about that personal journey for the first time ever, because that would be going on. But then as leaders, when those hard things are going on internally, you still have to show up and lead and inspire your teams, right?
I wanted to ask you about something that I think has affected you. I know it's affected you, but so many people listening have this in their life, and maybe they shove it in the back of their mind, but it's still there, and that is this idea of labels. And what I mean is, like, so many of us have had. Maybe it's when we were kids, someone called us a name, or
Yeah.
you know, we're in a situation and someone says, "Oh, but you're not smart enough," or you don't have what it takes, or you're the wrong fit for this, or you don't come from the right family, or this, that, the other thing. And a lot of times we then find ourselves as an adult, and that label is like stuck and it's taken root, and now it's sort of coming out in our lives, and we haven't even thought about it in years, but it's still there, that identity.
Yep.
When you were, I think it was 8 years old, you were called Eddie Spaghetti. Eddie Spaghetti.
Yep.
Can you share how that happened and how you did or didn't let that label take root?
Yeah, I talk about this in the book a lot too, is that, and how to overcome it, which I have. That part of me, I've leveraged into something pretty strong. But I talk about in the book that a lot of the beliefs we have about ourselves were installed in us, our identities, these thoughts and concepts we believe to be most true about us, our worth, they were installed in us when we were defenseless as kids. So it's like, be a good boy, be quiet, be a good girl, don't do that, don't make too much noise, and you start to develop this identity when you're young, and then when you get out into the world, because you believe it, you confirm it, and then you gather more and more references for it, and before you know it, you're 20 or 30 or 35 years old, and it's who you are. And you've proven it because of this. Your identity is the most powerful force in the world. You're going to be consistent with it, and most of what you believe about yourself, you weren't in control of believing. It was put there when you were a child. Well, same with me. So you have this combination of this kid who's at home, things aren't real stable there most of the time. Sometimes I feel like I overcook that too, because when it was good, it was very loving. And the other thing is I had this loving mother 100% of the time, right? 100% of the time. And great grandparents and lots of great stuff, but there was this thing, right? So you have that anxiety going in chaos, going to school, I'm a little guy, I'm shy. I'm very, very shy. You know this about me to this day. I'm still very introverted, which surprises most people because of the speaking and stuff in the show, but I'm super introverted. And I just started to get picked on. And this Eddie Spaghetti, your meatballs, right? Then the class would sing it to me and they'd see me get upset. And it started to develop into this pattern of you're not good enough all the time. And then I remember, you know, a few years later, a baseball coach, really, I was become a pretty good player, but we had a great player on our team who went on to play like Major League Baseball for many, many years. He's still a really good friend of mine. And I had a couple bad games and I was down. And our coach pulled me into his office. He was sort of a mean dude. He's a good dude, but he was a tough dude. And he pulled me into his office. He goes, "Hey, Eddie Spaghetti, this is now I'm a teenager." And he goes, "Did you ever think that maybe you're just not as good as him? Like you going 0 for 3, like you can go 0 for 3, he can't. So why don't you just accept the fact you're just not that good?" This was my coach, right? And I remember just walking out of there like, whoa. And then I've shared with you another story that when I became a speaker, someone that I looked up to was like, you know, you're really not that good. You know, like I can't even listen to you for more than about 15 minutes. And then, I used to think, is there something on me that's like, you can just punch me? Like, is there something about me? Like people think they can just tell me these things about me. What is it about me? Because other people aren't, what I found out is other people are hearing similar things. And the truth is, I just started to go, I actually asked myself a question that I say in the book. I don't really believe that many good things about myself. What would I need to believe about me that would serve me? What would I actually need to believe about me that would cause me to change the way I show up in the world? What would I need to believe? And all of a sudden, I started to really think about that. How would that guy walk? How would that guy talk? I'm doing an impersonation of this insecure guy. I'm doing an impersonation of a shy person. I'm doing an impersonation of someone who doesn't have confidence. It's an impersonation. It's not who I really am. Well, maybe I could begin to impersonate the person I want to be. And I actually started to impersonate him a little bit. Not fake it, but like, you know what? He'd walk with his shoulders back. His voice would be a little bit deeper than the one I'd walk around with. He'd think certain things about himself. Moreover, he would treat other people a particular way. He would treat other people in a kind and generous and strong way, almost in an overabundance of kindness and generosity to people, and belief and love for people. And a lot of that happened when I worked at the orphanage. I was like, now that's the guy I like. That's the guy that I am. I'm the giving guy. I'm the kind guy. And you know what? I found out when I did that, I took it away from me, as we said earlier, and it was about other people, that I found a lot more peace. So I just started to become that person, and slowly but surely, I think I am that person.
That is really powerful. There's, I'm sure, so many people, I'm sure they'll send messages about this, who, you know, see you online, watch your content, and maybe think that everything's perfect.
Right.
And think that you're just born
Yeah.
with all of this confidence and with, you know, everyone loving you and millions of people following you, even through grade school, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we tend to think those things about people that we don't yet know deeply, and then we think when those things happen to us, like someone tells us we're just not good enough, we kind of hide it because we're embarrassed by it, or we think it doesn't happen to other people. And I feel like you sharing that is so powerful.
Thank you. I think I have a lot of people from high school actually that follow me now, right? When you're, and I think if you were to ask a lot of them, because they've told me this, I just wasn't, I think they would just say to you, like, I wouldn't expect it to be an Eddie. You know, not like he was a complete, I was just there, if that makes any sense. Like, no, I would not, there was no like most likely to succeed in any of my, you know, yearbooks or anything like that. But I don't think by the time I graduated, it wasn't like he's a complete dum-dum, but it was just like, he's just Eddie Milet, you know, he's just Eddie. Like, you would never suspect he would be the person that, you know, might reach a lot of human beings in his life. You know, you just would never have predicted that. And that ought to give everybody hope. If you're not one of those people that everyone's like, no, for sure it's her.
Yeah.
I was definitely not that person. You go, oh, just mark it down. He's going to do something great with his life. No one was saying that about me. No one. No teacher, no coach. Maybe a couple teachers when I was a little guy, but most people would not have said that anything significant was ever going to happen.
So good. They didn't know you were the one.
That's right.
They didn't know. That's powerful, because a lot of people are wondering, am I the one? Can I be the one? No one's telling me I'm the one.
And I think the fact that you doubt, you doubt or wonder whether you're the one is indicative of the fact that you probably are.
Woo!
I do. I just believe that.
That's so good.
And you know this, and by the way, the reason it's good is because you know that to be true about you.
I know that's true, but I've never thought about it that way. I know that's true. And I'm just thinking right now, I have goosebumps thinking about how many people are listening to this, and right now they know that they're wondering if they're the one.
Yeah, and that makes you probably the one.
Yes.
That's right. And you know this because it happened in your life.
Yes, that is huge. All right.
This is good.
Here's the other one, and you just said it. You just, like, it's almost like you're reading my mind of what I want to ask you about. I've believed this lie, and I think it is more prominent with women, though. But I believe it. Lie in the book that she references. I should only be seen when I'm happy. And I think that's that mask thing. They should only see me on my A game. You just said it. How are you doing today? I'm good. I should only be seen when I'm good. I want to make other people happy, so I have to project that I'm happy all of the time. And I think that puts a pressure on people. It immediately makes you believe you have to be fake or inauthentic when you believe that. Or you do what I just said earlier. I'll just hide. I'll just hide. And I think a lot of us introverts, I like, if I can't be on and be happy, then I shouldn't be seen. And I think we all suffer from this. There's a depth to this book, I'm telling you, that if you let your heart and mind open, how does this apply for me? Because even that lie, I'm like, I don't. And then I thought, no, that's 100% me. I'm only seen when I'm on. I'm only seen when I'm happy. So tell us about that lie.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I ever saw you not on and not happy. And I just felt so freaking grateful that you trust, like that. I just felt such a depth of connection with you. And here's the thing. 75% of men and women, you look at the studies, 75% of us will hide our true emotions and just show up when we can deliver some kind of positive news, positive emotion, put on a happy face. We have this huge juxtaposition happening where we have tragedy and horrible things happening everywhere. And then, like, we have signs everywhere saying good vibes only, you know, and we feel like, okay, unless I'm positive and happy and all the things, which, by the way, I believe we can control a lot of the way we feel often, right? I believe we can do a lot to control our state and everything else. But, you know, Glennon Doyle once said, like, being human isn't about feeling happy. It's about feeling everything. And if we want the depth of connection with other people and ourselves, we have to be willing to show up as we are. Otherwise, again, every time, you know, we think like, oh, I'm not going to call my friend until I have something good to say. I don't want to bring them down with my problems, or all of these things. And what we do is we doubt ourselves out of into disconnection from people, from ourselves, right? And every time that we show up inauthentically, just trying to be positive, and that's not how we feel, right? And we're really trying to be someone other than who we are. We're telling ourselves we are unworthy as we are.
No kidding.
And here's the thing, like, it is so important to be able to feel worthy of being sad, or of saying, you know what, I feel insecure right now. Or you know what, I'm kind of bummed out today. Or and to feel like someone else could hold space for that. Like you're worthy of someone else holding space for that, right? Like, and that you deserve someone showing up for you in that way. It's really a fundamental self-worth issue.
Can I say something to all the women listening? Can I give you some insight into your man and how it'll apply to him oftentimes? By the way, I'm not real big on either of you like gender-specific advice.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if you have a man in your life who's struggling with this, he more than likely has been raised to believe that if he shows fear or sadness, or that he's down or worried or has anxiety, that he's being weak. And so he only shows up strong. It might not be happy. Maybe it's strong. He only shows up. How's everything going? Everything's okay. And they keep things inside. And if you have a man in your life who does that regularly, like me, who's done it for years and years and years, you have a man who is stacking in his life pain. It's going to come out in other ways. And it's not until I've gotten older and I've had really good friends around me, like you, where there's been things that have happened in my life in the last year or two, as you know, where I'm like, no, I'm really hurting right now. Yeah. And it's allowed me to be more me. And I'm a worthy person even when I'm not perfect. I'm a worthy person even when I'm down. I don't have to be strong all of the time. And I know this applies to women as well, being happy and being strong, but it does apply in your man's life, believe me. Men have a real problem, real challenge being willing to say, I'm down right now. Yeah. I'm down. I'm hurting right now. And so know that if you can create a space where they feel like they're accepted when they do it and they don't feel weak for doing it, I think you'll have a stronger relationship with that man in your life if you have one, for what it's worth.
And to add to that, it's so powerful what you just shared. When you look at the data that 73% of men feel inadequate, right? So many men are so good at hiding it. But here's the thing. When you create a safe space for a man in your life to share those things, what is so critical is that you do not let yourself go to the believing that same lie he did, which is somehow that's inadequate to feel those things. Yeah. There's so many. I'll just talk about some women in my life who wish their partner would open up more with this or that. But some of them, when their partner does, all of a sudden, they start telling themselves the lie that, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's both.
What do they tell themselves?
All of a sudden, they're not quite attracted. I wish he was stronger. Like those kind of things. It's a lie that everyone needs to unlearn, right? Because not only should everyone have the space to show up as they fully are, but the traditionally opposite gender roles need to be really aware of those lies, because you can get someone back into hiding really fast.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. You know, you talk a lot in the book. I didn't know we were going to go here, but I'm glad we are, about disconnection.
Yes.
It's a great story. I'll let you read the book, guys, about a fire at a hotel that she was in that really hit me. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the book. But this relationship we have with becoming disconnected. Yeah. And one of the real ways in a loving relationship, in a marital one or a boyfriend-girlfriend or same-sex relationship, that you become disconnected is by not being willing to say, I'm down, I'm hurting. It's a form of disconnection because you're really lying to one another. Yeah. You're disconnecting. Actually, what I'm feeling right now is some anxiety. I'm feeling some worry. I'm scared. I'm scared right now. And when you don't share vulnerably and authentically like that, you're creating a level of disconnection because there's no real authentic emotions and feelings being shared with one another. And that's why a lot of relationships suffer. One of them's trying to stay really, really strong. The other one's trying to, put on the happy face all the time, and no one's really sharing and showing up as they really are. And I think that's the symptom of the disease, that they don't feel worthy. Yep. And that's why this work is so profound.
So profound. And what I'll say to that too, I think the most just staggering and profound form of disconnection is us disassociating from ourselves, where we don't even know how we feel. We're not even paying attention to who we really are, what we really feel. So then we're showing up in relationships, and it's not even that we're intentionally sometimes not sharing it. We're just disassociating from ourselves, right? And
Yes.
I won't share the whole fire story, but in the middle of a life-threatening emergency, I just remember normally I take on everyone's energy around me, like kind of like as an empath. And it was one of the times I remember literally being in such a mode where I disassociated from everything, was in full survival mode to get out of this hotel fire alive somehow. And I realized, oh my gosh, in hindsight, everyone had handled the fire differently. Some people froze, some people panicked, others were screaming, running up and down the hallways. I just remember completely disassociating from everything, including my own body, and just being in full survival mode. And while that helped me in a fire and helped me find this like scaffolding to climb down the side of the building, it does not help me in life. Like for me, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this, like numbing or disassociating can come in so many forms. For some people, it's substances or whatever, shopping or, gambling. It could be whatever, different addictions. For me, it's almost always come in either food or work addiction and busyness. Work addiction and busyness, for so many of us, we see it as a badge of honor, but often it's just a form of numbing that disassociates and disconnects you from you. And when we are when we are disconnected and disassociated from ourselves in that way, how do you think we're showing up in our relationships? Why do you think we feel so lonely? And Ed, I just want to share something with you because
Wow, right there. Yeah, go ahead.
so many of us don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel loved, but we don't realize that so often the root of that is we don't see or love ourselves. And I'll never forget, like in the book I go in, there's a whole chapter on do you see you? And in that chapter, there's 5 self-worth shortcuts where I go into like literally tactical things you can do in your life right now. Some might seem silly, some might seem really profound, but things you could do in your life right now to actually connect with yourself. Because we live in a world where busyness is rewarded, where we're disassociated all the time, where we're people-pleasing everyone else at the expense of our own soul, right? Where we're just trying to strive to get what the world defines success as. We're showing it for everyone else and we don't even know. Like we're disconnected and disassociated from ourselves. And we crave, each one of us, so deeply to be seen, like so deeply. And I just want to share that I remember your talk show. And I remember, and I watched every single episode
Thank you.
of your season. And anyone listening who watches Ed's interviews, listens to Ed's interviews, or has seen the talk show, any of that, you see people. And you see God in people. You see God's creation in people.
I do.
And when I've watched people sit in front of you, whether it's in this interview chair or in your talk show seat, and it could be someone that has committed tons of crimes, had massive amounts of failure in their lives, struggling to get by, got problems they don't know how to solve, or someone with tremendous success. You can see their armor come down from the way you see them.
Thank you.
And how you see God in them. And what I wonder, and I know you know what I'm talking about,
I know where you're going.
how you see them. But what I wonder is if you ever look at yourself in the mirror, Ed Milet, into your own eyes, literally. When's the last time, I'm just going to ask you this, when's the last time you looked in the mirror, anyone listening to, into your own eyes and saw God in you and who God created, like the magnificence that is you, the worth that is you?
Long time ago. You get me upset. Too long ago. Too long ago.
You, more than anyone I know, just sees the beauty and the worth in other people.
Don't do that to me. Okay.
And when you shared earlier in the interview
You're
that
supposed to be crying on my show.
when you share, I cried earlier, when you shared that you still right now in this moment struggle with feeling love, like you can love other people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tools in here, probably the simplest tool in the whole book, but not quite simple when you do it, is actually like looking in the mirror in your own eyes. And everyone at home, like listening to this, when is the last time you actually looked in the mirror in your own eyes and saw the miracle in motion that is you? Like the beauty and the grace and the power that God made you, you. And if you can look in your own eyes the way God breathed life into you when he created you, that's what you do for other people.
Yeah.
That's why people are obsessed with your show. That's why I watch people just completely disarm and connect with you on your talk show. You can do that for other people. They feel that. And the most important thing is to be able to do that with yourself.
You're right. You're right. Thank you for that. I thank you for that. That's a hard one for me, and it's one that I went past that part of the book really quick. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, because I'm like, I don't know that I want, but it is simple to do, and I do need to give myself the gift of doing that, because I know how great I feel when I see, like I said to you earlier in the interview, the Holy Spirit's flowing right now. It took us like 10 minutes. I could see it, and I would love to see more of that in myself, because I know that it's there. I just, a lot of what you just said the last 10 minutes, you know, I'm going to cry, so I don't want to cry anymore. But even just staying busy, producing, you know, is a form of disconnection.
Yeah.
And I think that it does eventually show up and rob you of some kind of connection with the people around you that you love the most if you're not connected with yourself.
Yes.
And so I will do that for my children. I will do that for my family.
One of the things I read about was you faced a lot of rejection through your journey. How did you overcome rejection and self-doubt in building a billion-dollar company?
Yes, whew, it was a journey. And what I know is, like, as we're sitting here right now talking, 80% of women struggle with self-doubt and don't believe they're enough. And 73% of men feel inadequate and struggle with self-doubt and don't believe they're enough. It's a big thing that I feel like can kill more dreams than almost anything else. And a lot of people, when they Google my story and they see that, they see, oh, Denny's waitress builds billion-dollar company. I think their first thought is like, oh, did she get lucky, or was it a fairy tale, or was she just so confident? And it was a real struggle, Josh. Like, so much of my story almost didn't happen. And I came so close to like doubting myself out of my own destiny so many times, to listening to my own self-doubt over God's word, like all of it, for the journey. And it was, it was a real struggle. And I always thought growing up that I would interview other people and share their stories with the world. I used to watch Oprah every single day as a little girl, and I thought I knew what I was going to do. And I worked a bunch of jobs to try and be the first person in my family to go to school, and paid my way through school, waitress at Denny's, sliced meat in the deli, all the things. And I eventually was anchoring the news, and I thought in my dream job. And I was about to enter my first kind of huge season of self-doubt and setback in my life. And I got this skin condition called rosacea, which for me actually gets really, really red and bumpy all over my face. And what started happening is, I thought I was in my dream job that I worked so hard to get to, and I'd be live on the air, and the producer would say in my earpiece, live, I'm talking to millions of people, like, there's something on your face. You need to wipe it off. You need to wipe it off. And so eventually I would, glance down at the compact and makeup in the commercial break and try to cover it, and nothing would work. And I started kind of this huge season of setback. where I would be live on the air, actually thinking thoughts like, are viewers changing the channel right now? Like, am I costing the station ratings? Am I going to get fired? And, what I know is so often in life, the things that we feel are setbacks are actually God's setups for what we're called to do and what we're supposed to step into. And sometimes we just don't know it at the time. And so I started this kind of big pursuit trying to find a product that would work for me. And I couldn't find one out there. And I also realized, you talk about being purpose driven. I realized that I had never really seen in all the beauty ads my whole life that I used to love. I had never really seen someone with bright red, bumpy skin saying, this product is great. And I'd only ever seen kind of these overly photoshopped images that, while I loved them, they always deep down made me feel like I wasn't enough. And I had this moment where, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people out there who put their art or their ideas or their, works out into the world. I had this idea all of a sudden that hit me like, well, what if you can't find anything that works for you, what if you create something? It's probably going to help a whole lot of other people too that can't find anything that works for them. And I had that kind of gut feeling, like that knowing, like that said I should do it. But then my head, which was filled with so much self-doubt, would talk me out of it. So for a long time, maybe a lot of people can relate to this, where you feel like you're supposed to do something, like maybe you could do it if you tried. But then in my head, I would think thoughts like, oh, but you've got no connections, you've got no money, you are unqualified, all those things. And I sat in that place. And it wasn't until I felt this deep sense of purpose that was greater than myself that I made the decision to jump. And what I mean by that was there was a moment that hit me long before I understood the concept of identifying your why and your why beneath your why for why you're doing it. It was really a moment of grace in my life where I just had this huge, like, wait a minute, maybe if I figure out how to, create a product that works for me, that's great. But what if I actually use real people as models? Like every age and shape and size and skin tone and skin challenge and call them beautiful and mean it. What if I could shift the whole definition of beauty in the whole beauty industry, which at the time was only using photoshopped images that always kind of made you feel like you weren't enough when you saw them. And I was like, what if I redefine beauty in the whole industry and actually can change it for every little girl out there who's about to start doubting themselves and every grown woman who still does. So it was kind of like this big why that was bigger than me hit me. And that was when I made the decision to jump and to go for it. And to your point, the first 3 years, for anybody who's ever launched their own business or is in the middle of it right now or putting their ideas out there in the world, sometimes it's good we don't know what we don't know when we start it or how hard it's going to be, because the first 3 years were packed with hundreds and hundreds of no's and rejections. I didn't know that from the second I launched the business, it would be over 3 years before I could afford to pay myself. And learning how to, and I wrote an entire chapter, like a masterclass on this in my new book, Worthy, because this is life-changing, but learning how to change your relationship with rejection for me is like, it's life-changing, it's business changing, it's relationship changing. And in this 3 years of hundreds and hundreds of rejections, nobody knew my company that I started in my living room would one day sell for over $1 billion cash, right? At the time, no one believed in it. Everyone kept telling me no. And it is so easy in our lives to let someone else's no somehow feel like an indication that our business isn't going to make it or our idea doesn't have potential. And it is so easy to talk ourselves out of our own destiny, our own truth, if we don't have those tools. So yeah, learning how to navigate and change my relationship with rejection is one of the single biggest reasons why I was able to keep going until eventually we built the business to over 1,000 employees. And eventually, I hope in some small way, change the beauty industry, which is now making so many strides toward including real people as what's considered beauty.
That's amazing.
Just about your faith and how your faith has driven you through all of this. I know you didn't do it alone. You've definitely had a force guiding you your whole life. It's no doubt.
Yeah.
How important was your faith in God on this journey and doing all of this, and also just living your life the way you have lived?
Yeah, I love that you say too, I share it all in the book, because it's like 95% stuff I've never shared, including my journey of faith. And for anybody, listening or watching right now, if you've ever struggled with God doubt, right? Like, for decades of my life, John, I would pray and then I would feel like, maybe I'm a fraud because I don't know that I fully believe God exists. And I struggled with it. And, I mean, this was decades. And then when I went to graduate school in New York, and I was around a lot of people that had different faiths, no faith, believe only in science, and they believed only in things you could truly see, prove, touch, which of course faith is not required. And the more I was around all of it, it really started me second guessing everything about faith. And I share in this book for the first time what I did and what happened from there. And how I handled that, right? And there was a moment actually where, and I was raised in families that didn't go to therapy or didn't, you just either don't talk about it or you figure it out, right? There's a season I went through where, whole nother story in the book, finding out I was adopted by surprise in my 20s. And there were so many things that happened personally, struggling with fertility, so many things. So anyhow, I was in this season of just, feeling so down for the first time ever. And between not knowing where I came from with my parent, not knowing if God exists, I started seeing a therapist for the first time. And she said one thing to me during one of the sessions that changed my entire faith journey. And I don't even know what she believes, and no clue, by the way. I've never heard her talk about God in any of our sessions. So I said to her one day that I was doubting God exists and that all these things. And she says to me, well, why don't you tell him? I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, if God created the entire universe, what makes you think he can't handle your doubt? Tell him you doubt him and ask him to prove you wrong. Ask him to prove you wrong beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I'm like, okay. And so that started a multi-year thing where let me just keep it really real, because I love you, John. I'll just keep it real. I'm just going to pretend your whole community is my friend, just like you are. And I'm just going to say it. I would literally pray and be like, I would pray for, this person's health and this and all those things. And at the end, I'd be like, and I'm doubting you exist. So if you could please prove me wrong, I would be very grateful. Prove me wrong, be in a shadow of a doubt. Can you show up somehow where I just know? In Jesus' name, amen. Those would be my prayers. And this went on for years. And stuff started happening that literally, beyond a shadow of a doubt, was God. In some cases, it was told to me it was God. And the more years that went on, the more I just grew to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, God's in control, God's time, all of these things, right? I won't share the whole story because so much of it is in the book, but the QVC host that came up to me that day, and finally got a shot on QVC. So she retired after we launched, right? The one who discovered me at the expo. Many years later, she was, she had left QVC years before. We grew to be the biggest brand and number one brand. And so I was like, I have to thank her for loving our product that day. So I looked her up, I called her and I said to her, oh my gosh, thank you so much for loving our product. You changed my life. Can you believe we're the biggest brand in QVC's history? And she says to me, oh honey, I do love your product, but that is not why I went up to you that day. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I was walking that expo with thousands and thousands of women. She goes, I clearly heard God tell me to go up to you and help that girl. And she goes, and I just listened. And I'm like, whoa, right? There's so many stories like that have happened. And so and I share so much more in the book, but anyone who's going through that, who believes but doubts, right? For me, telling God I doubt him, asking him to prove me wrong, has changed my entire journey of faith. And the last thing I'll say is I talk about my toolbox and all of that. And just for anyone listening or watching right now who struggles with doubt a lot, right? I talk about so many tips in the book, but if you struggle with feeling like you're not qualified or you doubt yourself, or you get distracted by what other people are doing that looks so good online and they look so successful and this and that, or someone else has launched your product, whatever it is. Like, at the end of the day, if you keep checking in with yourself and feeling in your gut, this is your purpose, you're on the right track, this is your mission. One thing in my toolbox, a famous saying that I used to always pull from that really helped me every time I would just try to channel it. And every time I felt not qualified. And the famous saying, just in case someone needs to hear this right now, somebody in your community needs to hear this right now. The famous saying is, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Right. And I would tell myself that over and over and over, because to me, it means if you're on the right track, you feel it, then I think it's part of your purpose and it's part of your calling, part of your mission. And if he doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. To me, that means you already have everything you need inside of you right now, right, to accomplish your dreams. It just comes down to believing it for yourself.
Yeah, no one can keep you from what God has planned for you.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, when you were telling me the story about the woman saying that God told her to come talk to you, wow, I got goosebumps like you would not believe. Like that was, I just had a spiritual experience as you were sharing that, goosebumps, which always happens when God is showing up saying there's something more here. This is bigger. And wow, that was powerful when you said that. Major goosebumps on that moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock this house and welcome to the stage, Jamie Kern Lima! Baby Kern Lima!
Every single one of us has had someone tell us we're not enough. Every single one of us has had someone say words to us that hurt.